Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you here to our Ag Committee meeting. I'm going to give you a little introduction here. As we begin the meeting, I want to call your attention to the committee rules of decorum. Copies of the decorum rules are located with the hard copies of the agenda and are available for view on the legislative website on the page for this meeting. And there's also some out here at the outside the door, so I understand. So we note these rules at the beginning of each meeting simply as a reminder that we expect everyone in attendance to be treated in a courteous and respectful manner. And with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to my co-chairman, Dalton Banks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll start off this morning with roll call. Mark?
Representative Banks,
Here.
Representative Davis,
Here.
Representative Fornstrom,
Here.
Representative Johnson,
Here.
Representative Ottman,
Here.
Representative Provenza,
Excused.
Representative Schmidt,
Here.
Representative Strock,
Here.
Chairman Winter.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Right. Thank you, Mark. So good morning. The first bill for our consideration this morning is Senate File 84, Voluntary Water Conservation Program. And this was a bill that we worked on in the Select Water Committee. And with the challenges coming along the Colorado River, the committee was tasked with what can we do to not only meet our obligations to the compact, but also try and retain our water to the rights that we have here in the state of Wyoming. So this was a bill that we talked about over the interim. And I don't know if the chairman of Select Water would like to say anything, or, okay, come on up, Chairman Lawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Ag Committee. I don't know that I've ever been before you before, but it's good to see you. And I do want to talk a little bit about the bill, what it's about, why it's very important right now for Wyoming. This bill proposes a pilot program that has two primary goals. The first is it helps us avoid mandatory and uncompensated water use reductions, whether by a court order or curtailment to satisfy compact obligations. The program provides a tool for Wyoming to be a part of a compromise to address the historic drought that has plagued the Colorado River Basin for the last 25 years. A compromise with our sister states avoids certain and harmful outcomes from litigation or congressional intervention in a way that can also benefit Wyoming water users. If we are required to make mandatory reductions, it helps preserve our senior irrigation uses. Mandatory reductions put all our junior water users at risk. Ability to fill reservoirs with junior rights, seconds, free river, many of our municipalities and industry water users would be affected. If the 7 states that share the Colorado River fail to reach a compromise, we are required to make mandatory water reductions, use reductions, and it gives a flexible tool that provides Wyoming water users with some water supply certainty and helps avoid permanent buy and dry of irrigated agriculture. So what I would tell you, committee, is that we are at an important inflection point in the Colorado River Basin situation because of the expiration of the compact. And there doesn't exist right now an ability for those states to come to an actual agreement for some kind of new compact. That's just where we are. Things have shifted. As you know, Wyoming is a headwater state, and they're looking to us to solve some of the problems they're having that in their state. So as a result, this is an attempt to compromise on something that will be helpful to everybody in the end. Are we at a perfect solution on this? No, but this is an important step for us to take as a state to enter into the agreement with other states with some voluntary And that's an important word there, voluntary reductions in use. And this bill represents a program that gives the structure for that to occur. There were some changes by the Senate, and you're going to see some amendments today to kind of modify some of that so that the bill really has the ability to do what it was created to do. And so with that, I'll have 4 questions, but we're going to have the state engineers come up and walk through some of the changes and maybe also address a little bit again why this bill is so important for our state.
Thank you, Chairman Lawley, for that, walking through that bill. Yeah, any questions for Chairman Lawley? I know anything with the logistics of the bill will probably save for the state engineer's office, but any just initial questions for Chairman Lawley?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Appreciate you being here. Okay, thank you. With that, we'll bring up State Engineer and Mr. Brown both. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. And go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I'm Brandon Gephardt, State Engineer.
And Chris Brown with the Wyoming Attorney General's Office.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Lawley did a great job of describing kind of the purpose and the intent of this bill. I would just add maybe a couple of things. Both Chairman Banks and Representative Lawley pointed out the Colorado River and just the issues going on with that. We have always felt that this conservation in the Upper Basin, in order to get a 7-state agreement, is going to be paramount to get to that agreement. That's one component, but there's also the component that I think is equally important, that without an agreement or for the purposes of intrastate water certainty, I believe this provides a valuable tool for our junior users to use. So this accomplishes more than just fitting into the 7-basin state agreement. So that's kind of how we developed the program. We tried to include as much flexibility for the types of projects and what those projects can do to provide value in the Colorado River Basin and to our state. So a lot of, and we'll talk a little bit about the 3rd reading amendment and how that may have jeopardized some of that flexibility. We've got some changes proposed for that. But just a couple things on the Senate side. You guys have seen this bill. We've been working on this bill, specifically the bill, since before May. We've been working on the concept since the early 2000s. So this is a culmination. We're at the end of a lot of very hard work and a lot of public input, stakeholder input. We've met with Joint Ag once, Select Water Committee 4 times, our advisory committee multiple times. We've had multiple stakeholder meetings, public meetings. So there's been a lot of involvement in this, and it's culminated to what's in front of you right now. So one of the things that we addressed on the Senate side, there was some concern by some of the stakeholders about providing proper notification. So we spent a lot of time with the advisory committee and those stakeholders and introduced an amendment on the Senate Ag that was agreed to by some of the stakeholders that we were talking to that had concerns. We came to an agreement with them on the amendment. That amendment did pass. And so we continue to try to improve this bill. I'll get now to another amendment on the Senate side. That was the 3rd reading amendment. And that amendment provided some concerns to us. So yesterday, Mr. Brown, myself, the governor's office, and Senator Bonner and Senator Hicks met to work through that amendment. And I believe you have the amendment in front of you. That amendment was a culmination of that meeting and the bringer of the proposed amendment on the Senate side. We all agreed that that was a good compromise for what he was trying to accomplish. And so I would maybe let Chris talk about some of our concerns, why we had concerns and what the amendment does, if that's all right.
Go ahead. Mr. Chairman, again, Chris Brown with the Attorney General's office, and I think, the sponsor of the third reading amendment had some good ideas on some things that we could do to improve the bill. And I think that his amendment just simply did it in a way that might have had some unintended consequences. So our work with them was to figure out how to achieve what he was after in a way that we thought worked better with the bill. So really, I think the amendments you have in front of you that we're prosing in front of you is just a way to achieve what the sponsor of the third reading amendment in the Senate was trying to achieve. So we'll start. Go ahead.
And I may just explain something because I think you were handed out an amendment and also a strike underline. So the strike underline is just a way to follow through on the bill, what that amendment does.
Right. Hopefully makes it a little easier to understand what it does. So the first one is on page 2, line 20. This was an edit that was made by the third reading amendment, and it just made the sentence grammatically incorrect. So we just fixed it so that the sentence was complete. The second piece on line 21, there was concern that how that previously read was just or otherwise. The intent of leaving that kind of vague, broad, or otherwise verbiage in there was because we don't know what we don't know. We're trying to, as the state engineer said, maintain maximum flexibility for the type of projects that might qualify for a program. That caused some concern that there wasn't some certainty with regard to what that meant. I think the primary thing we were trying to capture is the ability to use water that's conserved under the program in the event that we need to take some action to comply with a court order. And so we included some specificity with regard to the or otherwise. We won't be able to capture anything that we were trying to capture, but included the language or under a valid court order entered by a court of competent jurisdiction. So that provided the specificity that Senator Hicks was looking for. On the next page, page 3, lines 5 through 10, Senator Hicks was trying to incorporate the idea of being able to include incidental uses as part of a consumptive use calculation. And he was trying to do it here in the definition. Unfortunately, in the definition, it just didn't really work very well. And so we made a suggestion to include it elsewhere in the bill. So I get to that, it's on page 10, but actually trying to capture what he was getting at. And I think we actually captured what he was getting at. So we just struck the addition that he had added into the definition of consumptive use. Page 6, line 23 is the next piece that we addressed. Senator Hicks had added in the or for any other valid water use purposes. His thinking was that because this particular provision only dealt with irrigation, that he thought somehow that precluded other types of water uses from participating in the program in general. However, this provision only relates to the specific notice piece that's identified in this subsection, which is for irrigated ag projects. We're requiring that those projects, those applicants give notice to adjacent landowners. And in an irrigation context, there's much greater likelihood that there can be impact on neighbors. And so this was the kind of the compromise we struck with stakeholders trying to figure out the zone or the extent of actual direct notice given to neighbors that made sense for irrigation projects that may not make sense for municipal projects. For example, the city of Cheyenne, if they had a project identifying an adjacent landowner for the city of Cheyenne, could become problematic. So Senator Hicks realized that the program does in fact allow participation from all of our water use sectors. So he was fine with striking out that addition. The next edits are on page 8. And this, Senator Hicks was simply trying to provide some clarity and break out some different requirements into different subsections. That created a little bit of issue because the first subsection that the amendment broke out was this idea of a project cannot injuriously affect the water rights of other appropriators. We want to make sure that that requirement is applicable always and not just one of the several, but that is applicable. That's an umbrella requirement or condition before a project can be improved. And then the other two are an or. the conjunctive, or it can be one or the other. The state engineer can't approve it if it will not result in a reduction of historic use, or to try to maintain flexibility in the type of projects that we're considering, or the project will help satisfy Wyoming's interstate compact obligations through interstate agreements. And then we added in that additional detail with regard to the or otherwise is what that used to read. And so just trying to make that clear exactly with regard to how those requirements are satisfied, in what way. And because those were broken out into subsections, we had to make the rest of that subsection its own independent subparagraph so that it wasn't only modifying the second condition. So we just broke it out into a subsection F, didn't keep it or maintain it as a portion of the second subsection. The next is on page 10. And this is where we made the edits that Senator Hicks was trying to achieve in his changes to the definition of consumptive use. And what he was really after was maintaining the ability of the state engineer to account for incidental consumptive uses. Incidental consumptive uses, especially for irrigated agriculture, are those uses that are outside of just on the irrigated field. So your ditch conveyance losses, other types of your return flow type conveyance losses, wastewater conveyance losses, those sorts of things, evaporation losses for the conveyance, to make sure that we could incorporate and include those with regard to any estimate of the consumptive use that a project might save. So we plugged that language in there, making sure the state engineer explicitly had the ability to include those losses, which is what Senator Hicks was trying to get after. The next edit, I believe, is on page 14. And this, the amendments brought by Senator Hicks was to remove the explicit reference to Fontenelle Reservoir to assure that the opportunity existed for all reservoirs in the basin to participate in the program such that they could store water that is conserved under the program. We had some concerns. We wanted to maintain some specific reference to Fontenelle Reservoir because the state of Wyoming already owns a couple of contracts in Fontenelle. There's already a couple of statutory authorizations from this body from the 1950s and the 1970s that describes what the state can do with its contracts in Fontenelle. We wanted to make sure we had the additional explicit authority with regard to Fontenelle to store this conserved water. And then Senator Hicks had missed the notion that he was trying to capture in subsection C. It's already there. The authority was already under subsection C for the state to study the suitability of other reservoirs, and if they are suitable for inclusion in the program for storage of conserved water, then they're already included. So he just missed that those were already included under subsection C, and it satisfies the concern he had to make sure other reservoirs in the basin could participate. So that took care of that concern he had. And I believe the last, did I miss one? Sure.
And I'll take this one because it relates to my budget. On page 17, the third reading amendment on line 12 added in the word not. So section 2A authorizes two full-time positions to implement the project, to review applications, and to stand up the program. But the not included in there, that does not biennialize the appropriation. And one of the things that the senator didn't understand is in one of the versions of the budget bill, we've asked for two positions in our budget. These two positions we're asking for would be additional to that. But in the budget bill, there is a precedent that if Senate File 84 passes, the two positions in the budget bill are superseded by these two positions. And so I'm asking for 4, and this would only give us 2. But the other concern with that is even those 2 in that version of the budget bill would only be funded for 2 years. And that creates a lot of concern with me of being able to hire people. We anticipate this this program to last longer than 2 years. And so that was a major concern of mine. And the senator admitted that he didn't understand the link between the budget bill and this, and he was fine removing the word "not."
So, Mr. Chairman, that's all of the amendments that we're proposing that this committee consider. Happy to take any questions on those or anything about the bill itself.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Committee questions for the Attorney General's office or the State Engineer's office? Any questions? Okay, gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate your work on this.
Thank you.
Okay, by a show of hands, who's here to testify on Senate File 84? Okay, so we're gonna open up for public comment and I'm gonna give each person 2 minutes. So come on up and fill the chairs and we'll take your testimony. Right, we'll start left to right, so go ahead. Start with Mr. Detai.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Travis Detai with the Wyoming Mining Association. And pleasure to be with you. I don't often get introduced to address the Ag Committee, but I'm pleased to be here this morning. The Mining Association stands in support of the bill. And I'd just like to, if the committee would indulge me just for a second, just to kind of give you a little bit. This bill is really important to our Trona and natural soda ash producers. And just a little bit about our industry. We mine natural soda ash, a very unique deposit anywhere in the world. It's mined underground. The trona is brought up and then processed on the surface to natural soda ash, which is used in a myriad of products ranging from glass to baking soda, industrial chemicals, a whole assortment of things. We mine about 16 million tons annually. The industry contributes, about $200 million annually in taxes and fees to the state of Wyoming, state and local governments. The industry employs about 2,400 people and another 900 contractors. And, the total industry value to the state of Wyoming is roughly $650 million. So it is a very, very important economic driver, not only for Wyoming, but for, Sweetwater County and the communities of Rock Springs and Green River. And, it's our top international export. So the industry is very important. And water is probably second to power. Water is probably our most important issue. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Craig Rood, who with WeSoda, and Jody Levin, who represents our Trona miners, and have them talk a little bit more about the importance of this bill.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jody Levin here on behalf of the Trona industry. I'd say that the comments from certainly you, Vice Chairman Banks, Chairman Lawley, the state engineer, and the AG's office really capture the exact concerns of the Trona industry. We strongly support this bill. We understand it's not a perfect solution, but it is a solution, and we desperately need solutions on the Colorado River. So without water, we have no Trona industry, and your Trona industry is the U.S. industry as well. So it's an incredibly precious asset that we have in Wyoming. We're lucky to have it. And we ask for your support of this bill. If we don't have solutions, your Trona industry are junior users on the Colorado River. So their only option to safeguard the industry going forward would be to buy a ranch and dry it. And that's the last thing your industry wants to do. That's not good for agriculture. It's not good for your communities. It's certainly not good for the state of Wyoming. So we ask for your support of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Craig Rood. I work for WeSoda, which is the largest soda ash producer in the world. I don't want to repeat what's already been said, but I've been in the soda ash business for 34 years. It is important to the state and to the world. The two ingredients in soda ash are water and Trona. So like Ms. Levin said, without water, we don't have soda ash. It's very important, and we would ask for your support in this bill.
Thank you. Appreciate the testimony. Questions for these people, committee? Okay, thank you. Appreciate you.
You let us off easy, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
we did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yep, come on up. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman Brett Moline, Wyoming Farm Bureau Federation. Sitting in firm support of this bill, as is the biggest point I want to make is this is another tool in the toolbox. Right now, we only have a hammer. This gives us a crescent wrench. You can do a lot more with both of those tools. Is it going to fix all the problems? No. But it's going to be in one more tool that we have to use. And I do want to say we firmly support the amendments that were brought by the state engineer and the Attorney General's office. We support those being incorporated into this bill. And the last comment I want to make is I really want to thank the state engineer and Attorney General's office. The work that they've done on this, bringing us all to the table, listening to our concerns is wholeheartedly appreciated. Sitting in firm support of this bill, I would take questions that you or the committee may have for me, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moline. Questions for Mr. Moline? Thank you. Appreciate it. Ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jennifer Lamb, and I'm here this morning in my role as Chair of the Colorado River Advisory Committee. We do serve an advisory role to the State Engineer's Office on issues in the basin. I really would just want to underscore State Engineer Gephardt's comments. This is an issue that we've been dealing with for a very long time through a working group prior to the advisory committee. So 5 to 20 years, we've been thinking about these tools and watching what's going on in the basin. I think it's important to understand, Representative Lawley said we're at an inflection point. I couldn't agree more. We have a lot of documents and guidance that is expiring. We have a river that is flowing 20% lower than it did 25 years ago. We just don't have the same conditions we had. And that's a bummer. And as Jim Magagna has said, we wish we didn't have to do this, but if we don't do it, we're subject to somebody else telling us how to do it. So in my mind, and in I think the committee's mind, this program is a step in that direction. And we have had at committee meetings, those present unanimously supportive of a flexible tool so that Wyoming can determine Wyoming's water future and not someone else. So I also want to underscore Mr. Moline's thanks. State Engineer, the Attorney General's office, these committees have really done a fabulous job giving people the opportunity to weigh in. This is a critical topic, as you all know. Couldn't be more important at a more important time. So excited to see the way people have really rallied to work this thing out and get us to a place where we have more certain future. So appreciate your time on this morning, and thank you.
Thank you. Questions, committee? Okay. Go ahead.
Cottonwood Ranch, Wyoming, on Big Piney. And Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I rise in support of Senate File 84 and the principle that Wyoming's water is Wyoming's asset, and that if we are asked to forego its use for the benefit of the lower basin states, we must be fairly and generously compensated for that sacrifice. My support, however, comes with serious and sincere concerns that I urge this community to carefully consider as the framework takes shape. And I speak as a rancher who has direct experience in this program on the land and with my water. I was one of the first participants in the System Conservation Pilot Program in 2015. I lobbied in Washington, D.C. during the first Trump administration to secure $50 million in continued federal funding for the SCPP. I have personally experienced the consequences of program gaps, being left without water when a neighboring upstream user sold their allocation without my notice or contact to those of us downstream who depended on its saturation of the floodplain. I've been a committed partner in this effort over a decade. That experience gives me both appreciation for what this program can accomplish and deep concern about how it must be improved. First, we must protect what lies beneath. Broad participation in a water conservation program, while economically attractive in the short term, carries real risk of drawing down aquifers and depleting subterranean water storage over time. The consequences for wildlife habitat, livestock, agricultural communities, industry, and Wyoming families could damage values and vitality of the state. Any program moving forward must include rigorous monitoring, science-based thresholds, similar to what they have in the lower basin. Wyoming future depends on it. Second, the price must be right and must do more than simply compensate us. Wyoming should command a premium above market rate for any water that we contribute to this marketplace. The premium is not greed, it is strategy. A strong price for Wyoming's water accomplishes two things simultaneously. It makes participation genuinely worthwhile for our water users here at home, and it creates powerful economic pressure on lower basin consumers to invest in conservation, efficiency, and alternative sources such as desalination technologies. If our water is cheap, there's no incentive for the lower basin to change its behavior or find lasting solutions. We would simply be subsidizing their status quo at Wyoming's long-term expense. Third, we must never mortgage Wyoming's future for a short-term check. Our water is not merely a commodity, it is the foundation upon which Wyoming's growth, agriculture, and quality of life will depend for generations to come. The mathematics of curtailment must be clearly understood. A shift from a 70-to-1 ratio of water use to right down to 1-to-1 is a losing proposition for Wyoming irrigators by any measure. We must avoid that outcome at all costs, or compensate our water users substantially above market so that it justifies their participation to mitigate curtailment from the lower basin states.
I don't wish to cut you off, sir, but that's been your
That's
2
it.
minutes. But thank you. I appreciate your testimony.
Okay.
Questions for gentlemen? Okay, thank you. Valuable information. Oh, okay, Representative Strzok?
Thank you, Chairman. I guess you had a lot there.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering how we could make this bill better then for the ranchers, for the users, for Wyoming. So there's a lot there.
There's-
I
There is a lot there.
yes.
I appreciate that. There's certainly, in the bill itself, I've heard concerns certainly about notification, which has been addressed in here. There's also another side to it where people believe their water right is also private, and that there shouldn't be notification. How I manage my water is how I manage my water. There's concerns about how enforcement will happen. I know the SEO and some of the commissioners, certainly in Sublette County, are already overwhelmed with what they have to do. And, there's no budget for additional commissioners in our area. There's a number of issues, and it's the compensation, quite honestly, has been pretty good. There's certainly a number of people with brand new pickup trucks driving around from the program. But yeah, I want to be sure that we have the best of the best behind this program, demanding the best for Wyoming and demanding the best for our users, that we're not compromising for the lower basin. We're standing the strongest we can for our values, 100%.
Thank you, Chairman. I think mostly a statement. I think sometimes we make laws and we put things in place that do in the end harm. And I do know that sometimes these then can be worked on later and to make sure, there's always so much in these, like for the ranchers, for Wyoming, but yet the state of Wyoming with our water. I know that we've had other issue on the Platte River, with Nebraska, that turned into a fiasco in a sense because we didn't have some of this in place. So I guess it's something maybe, with the engineers, we can talk, see if some of this has been addressed, some of these worries. Have you had time, there's been time to bring some of this up with some of these that have worked on this? And I think it's something that we need to, before we make this a law. And I think my worry would be, and just a question I would have sometimes is, if we don't need this at some point, if the water comes, from the snow and from rain, is this something then we shut off? Are we done? Are we quit paying people? There's always those side rails on this. And so I don't know if that would address some of the concerns also. And I do agree. The states below us don't realize what it costs us to give them the water they're asking for either. It does hurt Wyoming. So you've brought up a lot of valid points, and I think it's something that we really need to think on and sit down and talk about. But there's a lot there to unpack at this moment. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Further questions, committee? Thank you. Appreciate all the testimony. Next, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keith Kennedy on behalf of the Wyoming Association of Irrigation Districts. First of all, we strongly support this bill and the idea of this, as well as the amendment that the engineer's office has offered. I want to read just a brief portion of a letter that we presented to on the other side of the hall. Eden Valley Irrigation District, a Wade member, operates in Upper Basin, supports the passage of this legislation. The challenges and consequences and impasse with the lower basin states pose are significant. And this bill will authorize the state engineer to enact this program, which will benefit the state of Wyoming and the conservation applicants. By supporting this bill, we are standing behind the state engineer's office in their efforts to satisfy the Upper Colorado River Commission and the Lower Colorado River Basin states in a renewed agreement. And with that, I would like to relay a little bit of experience that I have with a similar program, because I actually, our family has some water rights in the state to the south of us. And in that particular program, and I would point out that this is intended as a pilot. We know that it's not going to be perfect, and nothing is, but we stand a lot better chance doing something voluntarily than trusting this to the judgment of the U.S. Supreme Court or to Congress. And I believe that's simply a fact. But to return to my point there, we have participated in a return flow program to supplement groundwater. And the terms after the first few pilot years were over, there were differing terms that we could sign up as someone who had a water right that offered return flows to supplement groundwater. So this is not something that is static. All of us, the entire basin, is going to have to learn as it goes through this. And so I would strongly urge you to pass this bill and the amendment and move forward with this bill. And with that, I'd welcome your questions.
Thank you. Questions, committee? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Jessica Crowder, and I'm representing the Nature Conservancy of Wyoming. I sit before you this morning in support of this bill on behalf of the Nature Conservancy of Wyoming. We do believe that this is a Wyoming-built tool. As you've already heard, there are many reasons to consider this bill seriously. I won't go over all of those again, but I will say that we appreciate the immense work that has already gone into this bill, including work that has been done during this session and pre-session. Appreciate the changes to notification in particular, and we support the amendments that the Attorney General's office and the State Engineer's office has brought before you this morning. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Questions, committee? Okay, thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Further testimony? None left in the room. Okay, online? Okay, go ahead and let them in. Morning, sir. Go ahead with your 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was just getting my computer lined up. I'm George Raftopoulos from the Little Snake River is where my ranch is. Run some cattle right there. Been a prior participant in the SCPP program. Saw many benefits throughout as monetarily and actually saw some ecological benefits as we put the water back on. So I'm commending Wyoming in their ability to kind of push some of these programs forward, being a part of Colorado as well. Um, I think I've seen some holdups there, and there's definitely some macro concerns when it comes to water. And yeah, this is something that we all probably don't want to do or have to deal with, but this is a really good first plan to put forward. I think it's really well thought out in many steps of the way, from ecological till economic, and as it does with the economies of scale and ranching. As of right now, the cow market's good, but for a long time it wasn't. So I know the programs like as far as the SCPP helped my family stay in cow-calf production when it was a little rough, coming out of those hard times in 18 and 19. So I think it's a really good program. Perfection, no, but being that it's a pilot program, there's always room to work. And as long as there stays open mind and good dialogue, which, like I said, I commend the whole state of Wyoming and all you guys for doing it and really concentrating on trying to make the rancher and the farmer and the irrigator whole as well. But like I said, taking this step forward is, I think, is necessary and part of this 7-state compact. And I don't think we want the federal government to mandate a lot of uses either. So, like I said, I'm in support of this bill. Appreciate all the hard work that's gone into it, and thank you for taking the time to have me on.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your testimony and for joining us. Committee questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here. Further testimony online? That was it? Okay. One more chance.
But maybe it gets us there.
Thank you. Further discussion on the amendment? Go ahead, Representative Schmidt.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention how important this bill is, I think, for our water here in Wyoming. I recently spent some time in the Phoenix area, and we've already got like 40+ million users down there in that part of the country, and that area of the country is just growing amazingly fast. The Phoenix area, they say, will become the 4th largest city in the country here soon, surpassing Houston. And the building down there is just, I mean, it's incredible. One facility I looked at was the Taiwanese government is building some chip manufacturing facilities there. There's going to be 6 of these big units put in, over 100,000 new jobs. It's not even the facility is the water issue. It's all the people that it's going to be bringing into the area. I mean, 100,000 jobs, that's probably 300,000-400,000 people that they're going to need water for. So my point is that this area of the country is just going to continue to put more and more pressure on our system. And the more we can do now to help us protect water in the state of Wyoming, and especially in the Colorado River system, I think we have to do everything possible to get in front of that and do everything we can to protect that water here in Wyoming. We're a state of 600,000 roughly. Less than half probably are concerned about this issue in the state, against 40 to 50 million users in the southwest part of the country. So we've got a battle. So we need to do everything we can, put every tool in the toolbox we can to help us in every way we can. So I'm full support of this bill, and I hope the committee feels the same way. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, amendment has been adopted. Further discussion and or amendments on the bill? Go ahead, Representative Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I would move a second reading amendment here that was proposed by the good co-chairman Banks, and it looks to me like we've just a little corrective language here.
Let me review that. I just saw that. Mark, was this just a technical correction or?
Mr. Chairman, that was a technical correction provided by Talise.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And first of all, second on that amendment. Okay, thanks, Representative Strock. Any discussion on that amendment? Yeah, it looks to be just technical correction that our good staff caught. Okay, all in favor of that amendment, please say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, amendment has been adopted. Further discussion and or amendments on the bill? Okay, our good staff caught something here. So on the bill on page 2, on the one the state engineer provided with the red markings on it. On page 2, line 20, it says, or that. On the amendment, it simply says insert that. So, we're going to, let's see, let me just, how it flows here. Let's see, do we need to say the Colorado River Basin? I think we need to admit or and just keep that. So I think as the amendment was proposed on the sheet, I think we might be okay. Or does it need to say or that? It does need to say or. Okay, okay. So do I have an amendment from the committee to include the word or on page 2, line 20, in between basin and that? We clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Davis. Seconded by Representative Smith. Is everybody clear on where we're at here? We'll make sure we're at least clear as mud. Okay. Discussion on that amendment. Simple, add a word so that we're matching what we need to match here. Go ahead, Representative Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I think we have an amendment already on a Banks.
We adopted that one.
Did we adopt it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you. Okay, further go ahead, Representative Ottman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And not to amend or anything, but I just wanted to comment that this is incredible. I'm glad to be moving forward and to hear that everybody has worked together to do this. But as I listen, there's so many voices involved, upstream, downstream, amongst ourselves as irrigators and landowners and rural people, municipalities, and just the magnitude of the importance of this really strikes me as amazing. It's not something to take lightly. And I just hope that we as a state work together through all of the stakeholders and not just look for our own benefit, but to look for the benefit of the state and the people that will follow us. So it's just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on that amendment, small change there. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, amendment has been adopted. Further discussion and or amendments on the bill?
Question.
Okay, question having been called. Mark, if you want to call the roll on Senate File 84 as amended.
Representative Banks,
Aye.
Representative Davis,
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom,
Aye.
Representative Johnson,
Aye.
Representative Ottman,
Aye.
Representative Provenza.
Did she leave a proxy?
Yes. She did leave a proxy in. She voted aye.
Okay.
Representative Schmidt,
Aye.
Representative Strock,
Aye.
Chairman Winter.
Aye.
This is a due pass. 9-0.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good work, committee. Good work, everybody involved with this bill. Appreciate that and see this one move forward. Perfect. Senator Boner's here right in time. Next bill for our consideration is Senate File 109. Senator Boner, welcome.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Representative Banks, however I call you. So it looks like we have Senate File 109. This is a product of the agricultural initiative that's been going on for about late August, I'd say. Now this basically it's made up a group of the familiar Team Agriculture, Stock Growers Farm Bureau, I'm sure a few others, as well as kind of the state and local agencies, I guess you could say, that have some role in supporting production agriculture. So UW College of Agriculture, the Department of Agriculture, community colleges, high school, CTE, agriculture in the classroom, and even, dare I say, the Wyoming Business Council. Hopefully that's not too controversial. But the whole point of this bill is to connect these entities with the actual ag producers, to have that direct connection and to basically set aside $10 million and use the interest from it to fund various programs that are going to support our third largest industry. So that's kind of the basic concept. Excuse me, I have to pull up the bill here. I was just talking about corner crossing, so this is quite the change here, not to make too many excuses. But so that's the idea. It sets up a 9-person committee, and then they can use that committee to determine where these funds go. And you think about research projects at UW College of Agriculture, and it is specifically the College of Agriculture and no other college at the university. Workforce development at UW or our community colleges. Even things that you could do in high school. Think about your CTE classes that have an ag emphasis, and maybe even having concurrent credit with local community colleges to help prepare those kids to enter the workforce. And then you have things like the Wyoming Business Council, for example, has the ability to issue industrial revenue bonds that have no cost to taxpayer. In fact, they take advantage of a tax break in the federal tax code. So we're paying fewer federal taxes to do things like support, small USDA approved meat packing plants. And that's sort of the things that we've been talking about in years past when you have, say, in that space where you have these massive multinational monopolies supported by the treasuries of foreign governments. I think it's appropriate for the state of Wyoming to take advantage of a tax break in our federal tax code to even the playing field. If we want more of these small USDA approved meat packing plants to provide some independence from those monopolistic situations. And so that's kind of the vision, I guess. I could go through the bill now that I've actually got it up, if that's advisable, Mr. Chairman. But that's kind of like the broad overview. I guess I can pause there if there's any questions.
Any questions for Senator Boner? Okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead and walk us through the bill.
Okay, just a second. I pulled up Senate File 109 from 2011, which is not helpful. Like I said, we're just talking about corner crossing. Okay, here we go. There's the right one. Okay, so You'll see on page 2, we established a committee, which will be defined, a 9-member committee. We have a fund, this would be the $10 million currently slated to, we set aside and we use interest from it to support our ag industry. We had good input from the treasurer's office, where we established an income account, which is important because you could receive donations as well. It's not just the interest. And so you have the income account started on page 3. And you see there, you know, you can accept any contributions, grants to the income account, as well as the corpus, if you will, itself. This is not an inviolate corpus by any means, just to be clear, but just, you know, it's a little fund we're setting aside. And then you, page 4, you kind of beginning of the laundry list of the various things that these funds could be used for. So this is the opportunity for the legislature to provide some direction, some sideboards. So you might want to take a close look at that. I just go through them briefly. You know, things related to production agriculture at UW College of Ag. And, you know, to give you a flavor, what we've done in the past, you know, it could be something from a ranch management program to, you know, training land management professionals who would then go work for, say, the BLM and Forest Service. The idea is you don't want UC Davis, you know, forming all those state employees. We would rather have our own people in those agencies. And, you know, granted, we're kind of playing the long game there, but I think it's worthwhile to, you know, have Wyoming folks making decisions in those federal agencies. So things like that, and even research. Right now, a lot of research is dictated by federal funds. So I don't necessarily like that. I'd rather we be in the driver's seat in promoting, you know, research projects that are relevant to Wyoming agriculture and not what, you know, hope that the administration in Washington is favorable. So that's UW, workforce development, either at UW or community colleges. You know, this could be, you know, ranch management program, like I said, at UW. It could be, you know, combining an ag emphasis to a welding program at EWC. You know, it could be adding some sort of business credentials to a CT type program, so that, you know, that college graduate could have the skills needed to open up their own, you know, welding shop that'll support, you know, maybe industry, but also production agriculture as well. Let's see, ag in the classroom is mentioned there. We didn't quite go so far as to mandate, you know, curriculum in our K through 12 schools that requires, you know, education in agriculture. Figured that would pretty well kill the bill, one way or the other. So we don't go there, but they do have the opportunity to voluntarily expand upon the work that's already happening. And so we figured that was the best we could do there. And then we had, yeah, it's a value-added ag project. So think about that USDA meat, you know, small USDA meat packing plant to help provide options to those big monopolies. And then just, you know, it could be something as simple as, you know, a drone operator certificate for, you know, if you're going to spray weeds in your field using a drone, which I personally, we did that for the first time last year. It took an hour to do something we used to take 2 days to do. It's pretty slick. And so, you know, incorporating stuff like that, you know, if we could help develop the workforce, I think that'd be a good way of supporting that industry without necessarily, you know, picking winners and losers among the businesses that are currently doing that work. Just provide more of a workforce. So then we have the catch-all paragraph 8 there. So, so we, importantly, on the next page, page 6, you have to have a match. So, yeah, we've formed this based off the Animal Damage Management Board, in that we're not creating a new agency. We're just bringing existing agencies together, if you will. But this is something we did kind of steal from the Wildlife Natural Resource Trust, where you have to have a match for the grants. And then really important, the criticism I heard of the bill initially was that, you know, the drawback of having this little silo of funds is that as a legislature, we give up the power of the purse string, right? And so we added section G there that says we have to approve any expenditures over $200,000. So we have that legislative accountability there, in addition to the report that's required later in the bill. So then you have the list starting on the bottom, page 6. Director of who's on the committee. That's the director of the Department of Agriculture, a dean of College of Agriculture, UW, somebody from the Business Council, somebody from Community College Commission, high school CTE, ag in the classroom, and then of course, 3 private sector individuals actively engaged in production agriculture. So, policy decision for this for this committee and ultimately your chamber, is that the right mix? I don't know. But that's what we have right now. You have page 8, how the governor is going to appoint, especially the initial committee. We want staggered terms so you get a nice rotation. Not everybody's leaving at once. Department of Agriculture provides staffing. And then just a little bit more direction, how they're going to go out about doing their business. Of course, they're going to oversee the status of the funds, similar to, I'd say, the Wildlife Natural Resource Trust, as well as the ADMB. And they're going to be responsible ultimately to this committee, coming back and reporting every year the status of the program. So we have that ongoing oversight there. So like I said, $10 million general fund set aside, and then the Department of Agriculture wants a little over $20,000 a year to help pay mostly for the travel and per diem of the non-government members of the committee. So that's the bill. So I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate that. Any questions for the good senator? Ready? Go ahead, Representative Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Bonner. What I'm wondering, because I'm sure you have done research after research after research. I'm just wondering how this is going to fit in, and I'm sure you know that. But I was told with some things that I was looking to do that we could not insert curriculum or do anything like that. It had to be set up. So how is this to align into curriculum in the university and community colleges? Is this to be a supplement through what kind of a voice? I mean, how's it going to be advertised? And just some background, if you would, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I think that's, if we talk about curriculum at the university, it'd be focused on practical, preparing people to enter into the workforce, like a ranch management program, for example. So that'd be a combination of animal science and business, so that you give those kids the practical skills that they need to hit the ground running the best they can once they get done there. So to me is, there's like the practical side of doing the work, then there's the business side. And so I think we'd be looking to continue to enhance those efforts, which have been ongoing. I mean, that program wasn't there 5 years ago, and due to the efforts of the legislature, it is now. And so I'd look to further enhance and build up programs like that. If it's the K through 12 system, then yeah, I'd say offer more opportunities for ag in the classroom, which is in some schools, but it's my understanding not all. And so it'd be expanding those current efforts, and so we give that direction, but I also kind of want to see what they come up with too. Certainly if there's a new program at the university or community colleges or even a high school, I'd like to think that they do a decent job of advertising it, make sure that folks know that it's there. And given the track record of the College of Agriculture and community colleges, with the previous efforts I mentioned, I think that they're doing that, and I'd leave it to them to provide more details. But they do have students in the program, and it is working. And I hope that those efforts will continue and will be enhanced as we move forward. So I look at this as a way of making these important but incremental changes to make sure that our university is doing what we need it to do based off the input from the private sector that they're supposed to be supporting, right? Same thing goes for community colleges and business council and high schools and so on. So I wonder if I answer your question.
Go ahead.
So just to follow up on that, on those ideals. So you said the program's been started like for 5 years or something? And just say, so when you go look at the community colleges and things, is it going to be in the catalog of studies? And also, so it'll be accredited and all that thing? So you're looking at developing kind of a school within a school, is that it? Or I'm not quite sure on the mechanism, if you would, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I imagine more degree programs. So yeah, absolutely, there'd be classes in the catalog and maybe you develop new classes, but then you package those classes together to get a different degree, say I don't know, or maybe an emphasis, so you can get a welding degree at EWC, but what about an ag emphasis? So you focus that welding on skills that are going to support production agriculture. And maybe, there's a tendency for those folks to go to supporting our mineral extractive industries, so I'd look at, new degree programs, new courses, and of course that would all be in the course catalog, and they'd have, those kids would have an option of choosing to major in a different degree that is focused on production agriculture.
Okay, one more. How does that work then with staffing?
Go ahead.
That could be a potential source of, use of the revenue, I guess, of the income. You'd be using X amount, $100,000 to establish this position, which is responsible for this program. And so that could be a use of the revenue from the 10 million that we set aside.
One more.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator. So we're looking at a trust fund of 10 million. There can be donations and all kinds of things go on like that. Is this going to be a one-time ask from the state?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think we came in at 10 million to see how the program goes. If there's a great need, then we may be back, but I can't tell. I want to get the program established and see how it does. And so that's why we felt 10 million was the right amount to get them going. And, if the state is flush in years ahead, then maybe we add to it, maybe not, depending on how well they do. I think this is enough to get them going and give them an incentive to do well. And if they do well, then maybe they can earn a little bit more, but that's going to be up to future legislatures.
Thank you. Further questions, committee? Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you, Chairman and Senator Bonner. What is a value-added agricultural project? Can you explain that to me? I don't, how would that help there?
Go ahead, Senator.
Right. I think a classic example is a meat processing plant. So anything that takes the raw product, say, livestock, then you can convert it into, a more finished product. That's, rather than shipping it out of state or going down to, one of these larger, foreign owned, monopolistic, enterprises like you'll see just south of here, for example. We want, that'd be a classic example. I suppose you could say the same thing about, our farmers, if there's something that we could do to further process, grains. I think there's some Representative Banks neck of the woods that processes like gluten-free oats, something like that, that takes the raw product and refines it into something that the producer or the consumer can use. So those would be some examples.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Senator Bonner, I do have kind of a problem with grants where you just give money and there's no skin in the game for the people. Is there a way to promote loans for these projects? I'm kind of, it looks like this kind of grows government, and I just need some more information. Thank you.
Go ahead, Senator.
Right, and that's why you'll see, it has to be a qualified entity. I guess I skipped over that. But yeah, we're not gonna, it says it's limited to government entities. And so that's, yeah. So that's top page 6, may be made to Wyoming government entities, education institutions, other qualified public entities. So public, qualified public. And so that it's, I guess I didn't go over this very well, but going back to the, like the Business Council's ability to issue those revenue bonds, which are similar to the WCDA program, if you're familiar with that, where they take advantage of tax breaks in the federal tax code and they give lower interest loans, working with local banks so that banks aren't excluded to first-time home buyers. That would be an example. And so it's not always about, that's an important point. It's not always about spending the money. It's about connecting those producers with existing resources that don't cost the taxpayer a dime. In fact, it'd say, we pay less in federal taxes as a result of, say, taking advantage of that program. And I think that's part of the frustration with, say, the Business Council, is they do have those tools in the toolbox. I don't think they've been used. And so that's the other part of the committee. That's nothing to do with spending money. You get these entities together with the private sector, and it's a way of sort of advertising or making sure that we spread the word about these existing tools that don't always, involve expending taxpayer resources. So so to be clear, that on top of page 6, that is important. There's not, it has to be some sort of government entity that we're expending money on. So thanks for the opportunity to highlight that. I did skip over that. So.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Senator. Appreciate it. Oh,
I think there was one down there.
go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. This is not a question, it's a comment. I served on this Ag Initiative task force. So I think the big deal, I don't like trust funds. I don't like more coffee cans. That's the huge word that some of us use. But we are in a state of we're losing ag. We're losing ag. We're losing ranches. We're losing, even there's not a lot of push even in colleges or the university. That is the ugly stepchild of, education. They sometimes get forgotten and lost. This would ensure that we can keep a lot of our ag in the colleges and make it a priority also. There are some things here that maybe this money that we're taking out for travel for the committee. I mean, I donated my time and energy to be a part of this committee. So if that's something that gives people angst, I think we could talk about that. But we are losing a lot of this, and maybe it's nice, the ag community to be recognized for once, and where it is a priority. So I just wanted to throw that out. I'm with everyone. It looks like it's growing government. So it's a very hard one to want to do, but if we're not careful, we won't have it. So, that's just something to keep in mind as we're looking at this.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of what was going through my head have been asked, but I do kind of see this as becoming another state agency at some point, even though that's not the intent from what I'm hearing. $10 million to start with, 5 or 6% return is $500,000 a year. I think once the program gets some legs and going, that's probably not going to get very far. There's going to probably be more and more applicants all the time, people looking for this fund for help. Whether private monies can grow it fast enough to address those concerns, I don't know. I can see it coming back to the state for another dip to build a corpus. I guess my question is, saying all that, we've got all kinds of programs in the state. Have all those been exhausted to where programs already in existence can't serve the same purpose we're trying to accomplish here?
Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I've explained about 3 times now. No, there's stuff that is just not being utilized that don't cost taxpayers a single dime. So that's part of the reason why I put the bill together. I've been, part of the effort to give, say, the Business Council the ability to do these revenue bonds, and then they just kind of sit there. Nobody uses them. No, I think that this is enhancing what's currently in place. We have a lot of work to do, say at the College of Agriculture. There's a lot more that we can do to be relevant to our constituents. And, I guess you can make a slippery slope argument that, maybe later it'll grow into its own agency. But, the cool thing about being legislature is that you have, the bill right here in front of you. You can change it if you want to. We can speculate what happens later, but I just once again point to the ADMB, which does not grow government. It takes existing agencies and makes them work together. And so the accusation that this grows government is materially false. I've heard that too. we're very intentional to avoid growing government. So I'm frustrated by that, unless you have a concern with that $42,000. And, this bill will go to appropriations if it passes out of this committee. But I think to say that this bill grows government is not true, and I need to push back on that. Now, what happens later, that's going to be up to future legislatures. But we were very intentional and worked very hard to ensure that we didn't grow government with this bill. And, like I said, it's the slippery slope argument applies to, I think, people outside the seats that you're in. You're in a position to make sure that, this bill does what it says it does. And, I think the slippery slope ends with us, because we have a say in how this thing goes. So.
Thank you. So we are kind of pressed for time, so I think we'll be moving on. We got to move on. We got weird.
I can't ask one question.
Make it quick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's kind of a statement on this. The third largest industry in Wyoming is agriculture. My question is 10 million enough? I mean, there could be a demand out there, and if we are not willing to invest in ourselves through this bill, I really question the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Co-chairman.
That wasn't a question.
Well, I think 10 million is just fine to get it going. And like I said, I think they need to prove that they're going to be doing good before spending more money on it. So I think 10 million is enough.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so I know this affects the governor's office. Are they here by chance to comment? I see, okay. Come on up, ma'am. And next we'll go to the Department of Agriculture, so be ready. Please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Committee. I'm Linda Cope. I am a policy advisor with the Governor's Office. I have said on the task force that Representative Strzok and Senator Boner have been on. And I just want to say that this bill is a way that we are supporting our working lands and keeping our working lands working. Agriculture is important to Wyoming. It's important to it's part of our heritage, and I think it's very important to our future. And so this is a bill showing that we are investing in our future and in our agricultural community.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Questions for the governor's office? Okay, thank you. Director.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, committee. I'm Doug Miyamoto with the Department of Agriculture. This is a task force, as has been mentioned, that has been working for some months to put together a set of recommendations about the best ideas that we could conjure at this point in time in order to keep our agriculture lands working, keep our ranchers ranching and our farmers farming is the bottom line of what this effort is about. The way that I kind of look at this effort has been two-sided. One of them is the resource side of agriculture. The other is the people side of agriculture. So on the resource side, as has been mentioned, working lands were a big topic of discussion about what are the things that we can do to stop the trends of lost agricultural land year over year. It's a trend that is pervasive throughout the United States. It's something that we need to look at. We do that heavily in the Department of Ag through our policy initiatives of trying to maintain federal grazing AUMs. No net loss of federal grazing AUMs is one of the key tenets that we work on all the time. That's an example of efforts that we have currently in place. The question was asked, how is this different from the other government programs that already exist? Most of our programs are designed to keep agriculture working, but I haven't seen a program that addresses it this specifically to say that the design of this opportunity is to sustain the resource and build the workforce to maintain agriculture in the state of Wyoming. We don't have any programs that do that specifically. With respect to the bill itself, the Department of Ag would be the agency that would be responsible for carrying out the administration of the fund. We do this quite a bit. About 63% of the total budget of the Department of Agriculture is passed through in nature, meaning we send those funds on. They go locally to conservation districts as an example. As was mentioned, predator management districts are another example. We do this kind of work with weed and pest districts. We have many affiliates that have programs with which the Department of Agriculture essentially passes the funds through for various purposes, but we're set up to be able to manage that, and we can implement this program as it came to you from the Senate side of the House. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we're ready to do this if you want us to, and we're happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Director. Any questions for the Director of Agriculture? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. But wow. Just by a show of hands, who's here to testify on behalf of this bill? Okay, so same story. We're going to do 2 minutes. So come on up, fill the chairs, and we'll get going. Come on up. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Colton Schick. I work for Wyoming Wildlife Federation, but I'm also serving as Wyoming FFA Vice President this year. So just getting into my first year of college and getting things running. And I'm grateful for the ag opportunities that I've had in my life. But on behalf of Wyoming Wildlife Federation, if you look at the handout that was passed out to you earlier, you'll go ahead and you'll see 11 sporting orgs who have signed on in support of this bill. I think that's got volumes to say. And so having a foot in both worlds, and kind of contrary to belief, both the sporting orgs and the ag industry have a lot of values that share together. 99% of the values are shared, whether it's having a good work ethic or being stewards of the land. We all want the same thing on that topic. And so the bill had keep working lands working, and that's crucial for producers, but also the sporting groups. We understand that keeping producers financially stable and viable is one of the strongest conservation strategies that we have at hand. So it's really important we continue to have them at a financial ability. When we look at the other trusts in the state, we can look at WWNRT, and I think that's a top-notch example of a trust fund that's doing what it needs to and how it's intended, and really effectively at that. So with that, I'll go ahead and stand for any questions that the board might have.
Thank you. Should we break this young gentleman in and ask him some really hard questions? Looks like you get off the hook. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, Committee, honored to be here today. My name is Andrew Juanidis, Executive Director of Wyoming Agriculture in the Classroom. I was also honored to serve on this task force, the Cowboy State Agriculture Initiative, and helped devise this plan and really represent K through 12 education. I would be termed as a new producer if I ever was able to offer that opportunity. Okay, I cannot afford ag land. I have 8 acres. I can run my horses on it, but that's about it. My dream would be to run cattle. I wish I could be young as the gentleman sitting here next to me and still have that opportunity. But this fund would really create an opportunity for current producers, young producers, and new producers. Okay, I firmly believe that. Agriculture in the Classroom works hard every day to implement curriculum around the state of Wyoming in elementary schools for ag, oil, gas, minerals, outdoor rec, and tourism. But we need help. It's to great representative here's question about curriculum. There would need to be a statute change. We are not pursuing that at that time to include ag or natural resource education into a core recommendation of curriculum. But this would help create an honor system, in my opinion. Obviously, the committee would have the grand opportunity to commit these funds as the bill is written. But in a dream world, this would create a great honor system or in a sense of pride around education, ag education, natural resource education in the state of Wyoming. And just, I saw this while I was sitting here for the first 2 bills. Livestock and grain are part of that great seal. We need help. We need help in this state. I really believe the $10 million would be a great starting point to help energize this important industry. So with that, I stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Questions, committee? Okay, thank you. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, co-chairs and representatives. Great to be here. I'm Kelly Crane. I'm the Dean of the College of Ag, Life Sciences and Natural Resources at the University of Wyoming, or as I'm fondly referred to by Representative Strzok, I am the ugly stepchild, apparently, which I'm comfortable with that title. Anyway, we're really enthusiastic about this bill and the potential for it. And to address some of Representative Ottman's questions, which are good ones. The way I see this as far as serving our college is really providing seed money that incentivizes our existing faculty. We're not going to hire people with the proceeds of this endowment. It's just not large enough or predictable enough to do that. But we consider it seed money that will incentivize our faculty to focus on Wyoming relevant research issues. And you can go down the list, everything from feral horses to sage grouse to energy development, all of those things that we have the capacity to do, but we really need the incentive in terms of research funding to support this work that all leads to better policy for land management decisions for Wyoming. And it's the role of a land grant university to support those policy decisions. And we think this kind of fund will provide the proceeds will provide some perpetual funds where I can incentivize young faculty that are starting their career to work on things that are important to the communities of Wyoming and that serve agriculture. And we seek a lot of federal funds, but federal research initiatives always don't line up with what answers Wyoming's real needs. And this is really an effort to take one-time dollars and turn it into some perpetual funding that really focuses our people to address Wyoming's needs. So I'm excited about it. I think, again, I don't see it as us getting bigger. I think it's about focusing on what's important to Wyoming. And what I hope that does is allow us to recruit and retain faculty at the UW who these issues are important, who have a commitment to serving our state and serving agriculture. And I think if we give them a little boost when they get their research program started, we'll get those kind of faculty and we'll keep the kind of faculty that serve the state. And I think when they do that, that gets integrated into our coursework. And I appreciate Representative Ottman because that's what happens when faculty members do relevant research. If they're doing research on how flood irrigation might impact fisheries in Wyoming or the benefits of flood irrigation of riparian habitats, they take that right into the classroom. And so I think it just connects our state and our college better with the state of Wyoming and ensures that our college remains relevant, responsive, and accountable to the state of Wyoming. So I appreciate your support and thanks to the support of the sponsors. I'll take questions via.
Thank you. Questions for Dean Crane. Go ahead, Representative Strzok.
Thank you, Chairman. I think one question I have, what are we doing? Is this part that can be used in community colleges also to enhance their programs, maybe buy some equipment? I don't know, is that going to be used also for community colleges? Because I know they're kind of hurting in that aspect too.
Go ahead.
It's a good question, co-chair and Representative Strzok. Yeah, and I think by design, as you know, you were on the committee, the university and our college is really just one benefactor of this, and that's purposeful. Our partnership with community colleges is really important, and they're a critical partner to us. So I certainly see us working hand in hand. That's the other thing it does. It forces us to work together and collaborate in funding. So I certainly see that, and I saw my colleague, President Tyndall, in the back of the room, so he could probably answer that too. But I certainly see opportunity for that.
Thank you. Further questions? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your testimonies. Come on up. One more. Okay, go ahead.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Committee. Brett Moline, Wyoming Farm Bureau Federation. My organization was represented on this task force by my boss. And so sitting firmly in favor of this, I view this as probably the most pro-agricultural bill in this session. It's very important to my industry. One of the most intriguing parts A lot of this has been focused on what's happening at the statewide levels, the university. One of the things I think is very intriguing is that we can do some of these things at the local level. The local community can identify what their needs are, what are some programs that will work for this area, use this fund as a cost share to get some of these programs going. So I think that's very intriguing. And I think one of the positive things about some of our programs in the high schools is that young people find out they have an aptitude for something. That's where they find out if they have an aptitude to be a mechanic, a welder, electricians. This can help enhance that, lean it towards the agriculture. I view this bill as enhancing what government can do, especially for the industry that my members work in. With that, Mr. Chairman, sitting firmly in support of this bill, I would take any questions you or the committee may have for me.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Moline? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, I am Brad Tyndall, president of Central Wyoming College, and I'm speaking for not only my college, but all of the community colleges. We had a meeting, discussed this today and yesterday, and also WACT, which is all our 56 trustees and the commission as well. So we're all on the same page of this and very much in support and excited of this. We recognize how important ag is, and the way funding kind of comes from the world. Most federal funding and other funding kind of comes from the city perspective because that's where most of the world is, unfortunately. And so it's hard to get the funding that we need. So what's very nice about this, it's I see it, I think, kind of echoing a little bit with our distinguished friend and colleague Kelly Crane, is that it's not a whole lot of money. It can't turn into a big boondoggle or government thing. If you think about it, $10 million at 4% gives you $400,000 a year. That is just seed money. And it's frankly, if I were to rename this bill, I would call it the Agricultural Partnership Trust Fund, because given the partnership structure, it's just forcing us to play together and align what we're doing. And that's beautiful, right? There's not a whole lot you can do. You can't really buy full-time faculty forever. So that'd be off the table. It'd be like, well, get somebody. You pretty much is a partnership model. It forces people to work together. There's so much. I could go on, but I know that the committee is in a real rush, but if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and President Tyndall. Good to see you. And just pretty much a comment, unless a question flies out. I liked what you said about partnership, because I know that over the last 25 years, grants. Let's apply for a grant. Let's find a grant writer. Let's do all this. And a lot of times we find that grant is great, but it doesn't pertain to the populations and what we're doing. And so it's wasted. And so I liked what you said about partnerships, because then you have all of the input from all the stakeholders. So as you, I know, are a proponent of ag and education, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at home. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I don't know how to phrase this, but I think it's hard to hold a committee accountable. Wouldn't it be better off to just give the UW this money and let them do a program? I just see that we're growing government, and there's going to be no accountability for that. Do you understand where I'm coming from? That we would like to see some progress in this, but thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Johnson. So I don't know what y'all think about the Wyoming Innovation Partnership, but it was kind of a seed project, and now it's gone off on its own. It's now, outside of the state purview. But what was nice about that process, which was a committee, is we got together and said, what are we going to do as a statewide initiative for something? And so in my mind, it kind of is what you're suggesting. It's money that goes to kind of an existing entities. We're not creating a new entity, but there's a coordinating thing where we have to get together and agree. So it's just kind of, I'm looking at that as a little seed money for us to play together in the sandbox. It's an incentive for, because we've probably all heard all the stories of things not articulating and why can't the colleges, community colleges talk better to the high school. I see this as just a coordinating thing that could spill over and other things. So I basically, the way I see this is things that we've done in the past where we go into together. So I always look forward to that because we don't talk enough across our sectors.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, go ahead.
Representative Banks, Representative Johnson, I like the structure of this bill now because this does help facilitate getting this out to the smaller communities, not just to the colleges. You know, we can get some programs in the junior high, high school, and I think that's a lot of times where we really need to start. As I said before, that's where they discover they have an aptitude. So I appreciate the structure of it now. I think having a committee screen these projects, these potential projects will work. It's worked before. I think it will work in this area too. So appreciating the structure of the bill with the committee set up right now, I support. With that,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. They're gone. Sorry.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that
Go
the
ahead. Come on up.
Ag Bookmark program at the schools, Mr. Moline, the Ag Bookmark program is awesome. Those kids love it, and I've seen such input and excitement. So thank you for that program.
Go ahead.
Be taken off the chain. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Holly Kennedy, and I'm here today testifying on behalf of the Wyoming Association of Conservation Districts and our individual conservation districts from across the state. We have 34 of those, and they stretch the entire boundary of the state. Sitting here today in support of the bill, agriculture in Wyoming is more than just our third largest industry. It is part of the lifeblood of our state. It is woven into the fabric of our state. It is who we are and what we do here in the state, in the cowboy state. My only criticism of the bill today would be that it's too bad we didn't think of this 10 years ago. Think of the amount of interest, think of the investment in our industry and in our youth that we would have had if we would have started this 10 years ago. I appreciate the investment in the future. Here in our nation right now, I was just listening to the news this morning as I drove in this morning, and farm bankruptcy rates in the United States right now are up 70%. We are losing 5,000 agricultural operations a day in this nation. So if not now, when? When would we invest in our future like this? When would we invest in our state like this? And not only that, but as we look across the state, this is an investment in our natural resources across the state. This is an investment in our future and keeping those open lands working across our state. So I encourage you, I commend the work that's already been done on this bill. I commend the thought process behind this bill, and encourage you to show your support for agriculture in our state and just how important it is in our state through your support of this bill. This bill really just opens the door. It establishes this trust fund, it gets it started, and opens the door for others to also show their support by pledging those donations and contributions to this fund. And I'm really excited to see where this can go and how big it can grow in the future and just how much it will benefit the future of our state.
Thank you.
With
Appreciate
that,
it.
I'd stand for any questions.
Go ahead.
Era Arano on behalf of Rocky Mountain Farmers Union, and I have our board chair, Chad Frankie, here, who will share in just a moment. But I want to highlight how this bill supports past legislation. It supports our food freedom work with our value-added product potential. It supports workforce development, which is a topic of big conversation. And it's a unifying issue. When was the last time you had education, agriculture, sportsmen, conservation districts all up in support of the same bill? Ag, as you've heard, is our number 3 industry. We do quite a bit in state funds to support our number 1 and number 2 industries. It's our turn. We need that help. We are the ones hurting. Tourism is growing. Outdoor rec is growing. We have all sorts of things nationally to support coal, oil, gas, et cetera. Ag is hurting right now, and we need support.
Thank you. Go ahead.
If I can, sorry about that. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you. As Era said, I'm the president of Rocky Mountain Farmers Union. We represent 14,000 family farms and ranches across 3 states, including in Wyoming. The ag economy is not in a good place right now. You've heard the experts speak about what this would do for education. I'd like to speak a little bit about what it would do for producers. This would allow us to leverage some state money along with private money to help build those value-added markets. We can't rely on the big agribusinesses to come into this state and help our producers make more money. We need to really look at, can we leverage this money and make it so that our cattle producers are selling beef instead of cattle. Our pig producers are selling pork instead of pigs. That our corn producers, our sugar producers are doing value-added products. Help us build those technologies, that industry. The education will support that. The meat cutting program at Central Wyoming College will help us fill those USDA plants and allow those products to be made from products from Wyoming, in Wyoming, and sold in Wyoming and across the country. Thank you. We stand in firm support of this.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate the testimony. How many more do we got in the room? Okay, thank you. Any online? Okay, we will close public testimony. Committee, what's your pleasure? Senate File 109. Moved by moved by Representative Strzok, seconded by Representative Ottman. Questions and or amendments on the bill? Discussion on the bill?
Question.
Okay, question being called. Mark, if you want to call a roll on Senate File 109.
Representative Banks.
Aye.
Representative Davis.
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
No.
Representative Ottman.
Aye.
Representative Provenza. She left an aye vote.
Okay.
Representative Schmid.
Aye.
Representative Strzok.
Aye.
Chairman Winter.
Aye.
The vote is 8-1. Do pass.
Okay, perfect. Good work, committee. Next, we're going to jump right into Senate File 69, Waste and Stormwater Infrastructure Study. And this is a select water bill. I see Chairman Lawley coming to the mic. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello again, Agricultural Committee. This bill, Senate File 69, is a Select Water Committee bill, and it has to do with wastewater infrastructure. As you probably heard over the last several years, if you've been here very long, we are looking at, throughout the state, issues with infrastructure, aging infrastructure in a lot of different ways. This bill has to do with a study, so that's what it's for, is to study particularly infrastructure issues with waste and stormwater infrastructure. So that's basically the bill. I know you guys don't have a lot of time. What it does is it has the Department of Environmental Quality do some surveying of and gathering data. We also have some data being gathered because there's a lot of data to have to gather, because the whole goal of the study, we know there's a problem, but we don't know the details of where is the problem the worst, what kinds of problems exist throughout the state of Wyoming. So in this area. So we're doing studies like we've done before on some of the other infrastructure issues, just for those of you who've been here a while. But we will be studying using, again, Department of Environmental Quality is already doing some monitoring, particularly in the area of drinking water and things that may reveal some issues. So they'll be a part of the study. So will the Office of State Lands and Investments. We'll work with the Water Development Office, and they'll coordinate the effort to try to get information from municipalities, counties, political subdivision, other political subdivisions that will help them understand in each of those areas what's the state of their infrastructure concerning wastewater. So that's what the bill does. There is some money involved, and you will see that on page 3. Let's see here. There's actually a couple different, there's actually page 2. Start on page 2. There's $8 million, and it's from the SIPA. And there is some language you're going to see in there in cases, we've got some bills concerning the SIPA that if that goes away, it will come from the general fund. But that's basically for used to retain consultants to assist with the completion of the study, because not only do you have to gather the data, then you have to analyze the data and then come up with a report that is consumable by the Water Commission, and the Select Water Committee, as we look at where do we go from here? What do we do? How do we approach this problem? So again, I think that's pretty much the bill. So I'll be stand for questions, Chairman Banks.
Thank you, thank you. Any questions for Chairman Lawley? Straightforward bill. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Real quick, Representative, will this include our highway infrastructure in this? Because I didn't see it really called out in there. Because those are barriers across all our grounds and everything, and I didn't know if that would be addressed.
Go ahead.
As I read the bill, Representative Davis, Mr. Chairman, Representative Davis, it doesn't specifically include that, but it doesn't necessarily preclude it either. But we are really looking at some of the basic infrastructure that's in place. And I don't know if I would, how they might interpret that, but I don't think it excludes it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you presenting the bill to us.
Thank you.
I don't know if the state engineer's office wants to comment or DEQ. Yep, come on up. Okay, you guys are good? Okay. Please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for having me here. My name is Jennifer Zigmut. I am the Water Quality Division Administrator for the Wyoming DEQ. To add a few brief points to what Representative Lawley provided in her overview, the issue that we're trying to address is that we don't have a comprehensive database of the drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure that we have, meaning the pipes, valves, tanks that either bring drinking water to our taps or take our sewage to a treatment facility before it's disposed of. A lot of our small towns in particular are very challenged with that information. They just don't have the resources and the tools to map that information and then know what they need to maintain it over time. What we are doing, what we're proposing to do, is to help all of our communities to develop what we call asset management plans for drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater. We're using an online-based platform. So these would be dynamic plans. They're not going to be paper reports that are put on a shelf. They're GIS-based, so each community can map their infrastructure, they can track its condition, and then the state, all of the state agencies can see the condition of the infrastructure that we have across the state. Each community can see theirs. So it's a dynamic tool. As Representative Lawley said, DEQ and OSLI are already working on a pilot project for 6 of our communities with drinking water. And then we have the federal funding that we need to do a statewide drinking water assessment already. We're working toward that. What we don't have is funding for wastewater and stormwater. So that's what this bill would do. It would fill that funding gap so that we can work with our communities to do all 3 at the same time. It would be significantly more cost effective if we can hire a contractor to do 1 round around the state rather than 3 rounds. So again, that's the gist of the bill. Moving forward, the subscriptions to the system we can pay for with drinking water SRF funds. Again, those are federal funds, not state funds. The contribution from our communities would be their time and resources to put information into the system, work with our contractor, and maintain it over time. Mr. Chairman, I know we're short on time. I'll stop there. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Questions for Department of Environmental Quality? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Any public testimony on Senate File 69? Come on up. I'll ask to keep it brief just to respect the committee's time, but please go ahead.
Mr. Co-Chairman, my name is Bob McLaurin. I'm with the Wyoming Association of Municipalities. We represent the 99 cities and towns around the state. We're very strongly supportive of this bill, and our members look forward to working with the DEQ to provide the data to get this important information. I will say that I think you received an email from Joe Cohen with some questions about whether the data would be publicly available. I just want to make sure that once this data is provided, it would be available to the public and all of our members. But we are very supportive of this bill, sir.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Go ladies first, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I will keep my comments extremely brief because I know that you are up against having to get up to the floor. Holly Kennedy with Wyoming Association of Conservation Districts. We're supportive of the bill. We think it has a lot of potential to offer long-term cost savings. Why work harder? We can work smarter, and why not have this great information to take a more nimble approach to future actions and mitigation? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moline.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brett Moline, Wyoming Farm Bureau. To be uncharacteristically brief, good bill, 2 thumbs up. Take it forward. With that, I would take any questions.
Thank you, thank you.
Sorry,
Appreciate that.
Representative Davis.
Questions, committee? Thank you. Appreciate it. Further testimony? Anybody online? Okay, with that will close public testimony. Committee, what's your pleasure on Senate File 69? Moved by Representative Strzok. Second by Representative Schmid. Discussion and or amendments. I will, there is a proposed amendment, and I just would, if it's the committee's pleasure, because of time, ask if it could be run as a committee of the whole amendment upon the floor. Just to, okay, thank you, appreciate that. So any further discussion on Senate File 69?
Question.
Okay, with that, Mark, if you want to call the roll.
Representative Banks.
Aye.
Representative Davis.
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Ottman.
Aye.
Representative Provenza left a proxy and voted aye. Representative Schmid.
Aye.
Representative Strzok.
Aye.
Chairman Winter.
Aye.
9-0. This is a due pass.
Okay, perfect. We are going to power through and get all these done today because this is our last meeting. So we'll go right into Senate File 50. Representative Geringer, welcome. And Senator Loves, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rob Geringer, representing Southwest Laramie County. You heard the surface water bill earlier. This one is about groundwater. The bill requires a new study every 10 years in groundwater control areas that are designated by the state engineer. And just to refresh the committee and members of the public, control areas are designated in statute when the use of groundwater is approaching a use equal to the current recharge rate, or when groundwater levels are declining or have declined excessively, and also when conflicts between users are occurring or are foreseeable. That's not all the statute, but that's the key parts of this. Currently, there are 3 control areas around the state, but could potentially increase as we face increased groundwater challenges. There's the Laramie County Control Area, which encompasses a good chunk of the eastern half of the county. Platte County Control Area around Wheatland, and the Prairie Center Control Area, which is in northern Goshen and southern Niobrara counties. From the language of the bill, the studies under that particular section shall assess the effect of the ordered corrective controls, assess recharge of the aquifer compared to water consumption from that aquifer, and assess the impact of future development on the aquifer. So why is this important? Well, the importance of the studies are to manage the various uses and potential conflicts between them, between housing, ag, municipal, industrial, oil and gas, et cetera. As development of these areas, as development of these various interests continue to occur, as well as the effects of drought continues to impact the recharge areas, the state engineer really needs to have a handle on what is happening in the aquifers and to provide the guidance and info to counties, municipalities, and other agencies. There is a $500,000 appropriation with this study, a request in this study. And the initial study is to be completed in 2030. I've kept this brief. Hopefully I didn't gloss over too much, but I know Senator Love could offer some additional comments if necessary.
Okay, thank you. Anything you want to add? Senator?
Chairman, Co-Chairman, through you. So 4 of us, including Representative Fornstrom, Representative Johnson, all live and work inside of a control area. And so this is dictating, so we have a moratorium on agricultural irrigation wells in these control areas. We have acre spacings that local managers such as your county and city managers are using in development and growth. I know of at least 2 issues that are born in eastern Laramie County right now out by Albin, where a ranch is trying to section off a piece of ground so they can build a house for a hired man but the minimum lot size because of this control right now is 40 plus acres. And so it's really causing some functional issues for some of these producers. It's also creating the sprawl that we all witness around Cheyenne, the 5 acre lot minimums, which is also driving up housing costs. And so to understand these controls and make sure our SEO's office, our county and city managers all have the best information available, it'd be really important to get this study done. This is the second study. The original study was done 10 years ago in the state. The legislature appropriated for that one. And so we're coming back to update this information. We have better technologies today, hoping to get some mapping done, get our test wells and monitoring wells updated. And so with that, I'm in favor of the bill and hope you'll favorably consider.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Questions for these 2 gentlemen? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. State Engineer, do you want to comment on this one?
Mr. Chairman, Brandon Gebhardt, State Engineer, will be very brief. We worked with the sponsor of this bill throughout it. It would provide our agency a tool that could provide the best data, as Senator Love mentioned, to the decision makers to make sure that they feel like they have the best data available. And we can implement the bill as it's written.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, Representative Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we work with the adjoining states as far as the information between them, because the aquifer just don't end at the state border? That's my question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Davis, I do believe that the original study did look at some of that outside. I could be wrong. Maybe I had asked Chris, he was involved, but okay, yeah. We will look at the best available information we have in a new study and try to get the best understanding of what the aquifer is.
Thank you. Further questions, State Engineer? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Public testimony. Come on up, gentlemen.
2 seconds each.
Bye-bye. Mr. Chairman, that's too long for Brett. Keith Kennedy on behalf of the Wyoming Wheat Growers Association. You might say, well, that's dryland crop. A very large portion of the seed wheat that's grown in Wyoming, which is actually probably an export product to other states, is grown under irrigation, and most of it is in this control area. We support this. Thanks for your time and welcome questions.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bill Navani here on behalf of the Wyoming County Commissioners Association. Again, just to share our support, this is going to provide us with additional information to inform our land use planning as well as our resource management. So we stand in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Moline.
Mr. Chairman, Brett Mullane, Wyoming Farm Bureau Federation, sitting in support of this bill. We need this information. The only way to get it is to go get it. So sitting in support, I would take any questions.
Thank you. Questions for these 3 gentlemen committee? Hey, thank you. Sorry to make you be brief, but appreciate the testimony and nonetheless. Further testimony in the room. Okay, any online? Okay, we will close public testimony on that. Committee, what's your pleasure? Senate File 50. Moved by Representative Johnson, second by Representative Schmid. Amendments and or questions, discussion?
Question.
Okay, question haven't been called. Mark, if you call the roll on Senate File 50.
Representative Banks.
Aye.
Representative Davis.
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Ottman.
Aye.
Representative Provenza left an absentee. Aye. Representative Schmidt,
Aye.
Representative Strack,
Aye.
Chairman Winter,
Aye.
9-0. This is due pass.
All right, good job, committee. Appreciate the work getting all those done. Mr. Moline caught me in the hall and said, "Are you sure you're gonna get all 4 of them?" I was true to my word.
You will get your signature.
Yes, you are. Okay.
Chairman, may I, on record, saying, good job.